Lesley saw the beauty in everything: art, books, travels, but most of all, she was an educator. With anything she ever felt passionate about, her initial response was to instill it in others, always talking, always taking people under their wing and praising their potential. She wanted others to feel that same warmth of being inspired, or that same rush of confidence she ever felt. It was always about others. Lesley and I connected through art and creativity. Through years of being my teacher, she constantly encouraged me to submit my art to the most prestigious art schools, really believing in me. I don't know if many of you know, but she completely converted her Brooklyn basement into the most magical and colorful art studio. That's not an exaggeration. She had lines of every color of the rainbow painted on every wall. I spent many hours in that studio creating things and exploring art gadgets that she would excitedly tell me about. I did too. Lesley took the quote, "Make yourself at home," to a new level. Her home was one of the rare homes that I truly made myself at home. That is clearly attributed to her being so genuine in her hospitality and generosity. She took Carolyn, Alice, and myself to Art Basel in 2019, which I can easily say was one of the best trips of my life. I just remember Lesley talking to every single artist at her station and asking them questions about themselves. Most conversations ended with an exchange of a phone number and a good laugh. She took us girls out everywhere, knowing all the coolest spots, so that we were always kept busy doing the most fun activities under the sun. At the end of the night, when one of us would announce that we were tired, she responded with a firm, "Absolutely not, it's only 11 p.m. And how right she was to make the most of every single moment. In such a short weekend, she gave me memories to last a lifetime. And the fun never stopped since. She didn't just let her kids throw parties in the backyard. She was the one who suggested it. She didn't just agree to take the cousins on a 4-day road trip. She was the one who initiated it. She was such an influential mentor to me, and I will always cherish the times we had together. Simone. This is written by Renee Dweck, cousin Renee Dweck. Can I order 2 scoops with sprinkles and then dip it in a chocolate shell? Then can you dip it in sprinkles again? Is that possible? That's just typical Lesley, taking fun and making it over the top extra fun. Whether it be games after a glamorous Friday dinner or a typical day at the beach, it was always more fun if Lesley was there. Growing up, Lesley was my older cousin, and by that, naturally, way too cool to hang out with me. I always looked up to her. My fondest memories are when my mom hired her as my tennis teacher. I loved every minute of it. She was so creative and made everything came. She even made picking up the balls fun by turning it into a challenging game. As I got older and we both started having kids and entering that phase of life together, we became very close. She was my big cousin that always took care of me and kept me under her wing. Lesley had so many hobbies that we all know about. But the best part was that she knew sometimes she got obsessive, and we would all have a good laugh about it. When a snowstorm was going to hit and everyone was stocking up on food, basics, Lesley would say, "I have to go to Michael's and buy some glue sticks," and we would always laugh. But the truth is, she was so determined to not waste a minute. She needed to have projects to do in case she was stuck home for a few days, so it was justified. Tennis. We were partners many times, but we would also cross the net as well. Her willingness to always jump on the court was evident. By any time you called and said, "Want to hit?" it took not more than a second to answer yes. She was always game for anything. We had so many great matches. Lesley was always fair, classy, and elegant competitor. She was fierce on the court. In Brooklyn, we lived back to back. We had so much fun together. What a blessing it was. I would see her every morning, get in her car, about 7:30 a.m. That's when she would head out to go to her beloved exercise class with Gal, then off to tennis, then off to teach. Her days were jam-packed because that's the only way she knew how to live. Lesley loved to learn and was a lifelong pursuer of knowledge. Her car rides couldn't be without a moment of learning. She loved listening to podcasts, her favorite being about Tom Brady. She was an NYU graduate, quite an accomplishment today, but even more so back then. She was an avid reader. Her night table filled with stacks and stacks of books at all times, ready to share with anyone interested in the book she had just read. Her favorite book was The Art of Hearing Heartbeats. She recently got into the game of pool, and of course she bought a hot pink pool table. Lesley was the most generous person you will ever encounter, whether it be giving the most thoughtful gifts, meeting an art teacher, then hiring her for all of us to do art overlooking the ocean. She always wanted to share anything she found. She was a big supporter of community businesses. Whenever we go to a gift show, I would always laugh at her because every single vendor knew her by name and would call her over to their booth. Once we were at a pool party, she said, "Let me get the lifeguard's number in case I need a lifeguard." And when she typed in his name, it came up on her phone already as Mark Beef Jerky, because of course she had him in her phone from buying something he had been selling in the past. That was Lesley, always encouraging and supporting anyone she came across. On a recent ski trip to Vermont, there was a sign by a realtor with houses for sale. Lesley called and she made an appointment. Again, that was Lesley. I will always cherish our times together and the memories we made. You are forever my best friend and like a big sister to me. I will miss you every single day. I will miss our daily phone calls, where we would just chat and laugh for hours. I love your children. I see the best of you in them. With the help of our amazing family, we'll take care of them and be what you were to us, a source of constant support and positivity. May Hashem bless them. Like the last thing you told me, love you forever and ever. Love your number one thing. Cousin Renee. Just one minute. Today we gather to celebrate the life of a truly remarkable woman. As we reflect on the lessons she left us, it's clear that my mom was a woman who lived with purpose and passion. One of the things that always stood out to me was her love of art and the passion she had with creativity. It started with painting, drawing, then it was scrapbooking, shrinky inks, Copic markers, claymation, pottery making, and finally it all culminated into Zentangle. For my mom, Zentangle was more than just a hobby. It was a way for her to cope with the difficult times in her life, like the loss of her parents. Drawing the lines and combining those patterns provided tranquility and peace of mind for her. It's clear that my mom saw the deeper meaning in art and how it could help people and bring them together, even in times of hardship. For the past 6 years, she taught Zentangle in Flatbush and Hillel, sharing what she left her students and colleagues alike. She was so happy and proud of all of her students, no matter the work they produced. Not only did she share her skill with the world, but she encouraged her students to be even greater than she was. She was selfless enough to be happy when the student surpassed the teacher, because her true passion was to help others succeed. And that's the main message, seeing what a skill did for herself, and then passing that along to as many people as possible. Yeah, that's amazing. On the surface level, she mastered the skill and used it to cope with hardships. But on a more spiritual level, she shared her skills to help others achieve what she had already done herself. In other words, knowing that you made a discovery is one thing, but to not keep it a secret and share it with the world, that's special. As we mourn the loss of my mom, can take comfort in knowing that she lived a full life of purpose and meaning. She was a woman who touched the lives of so many and left behind a legacy that will not be forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you, Lawyer. I'd like to introduce Michael Sutton, Lesley's brother, and he's going to speak on behalf of Renee Bader, who's Lesley's cousin. I'm reading these words for Renee Bader, our cousin. As I sit down to write this testament to my good friend and first cousin, it feels like the most surreal thing I've ever done. How can I refer to Lesley Arayat in the past tense, when just a few months ago she stood before us, tall and strong, suntanned, wearing tennis gear, with her glorious presence like the actual sun, blonde, bright, extending her warmth to all who came near. But yes, we are here, speaking of our loss, our very great loss. Lesley's greetings were characterized by a boisterous "Hi!" It was the warmest, most life-affirming greeting sound. Sparks of appreciation animated with the beautifully freckled green hazel eyes as she complimented you. Found something about your personality that was worth highlighting as extra special. Told you how you had to share that aspect of yourself with the world. And then she'd invite you to something. A Shabbat afternoon, a weekday lunch by her house, a cousin's art class with a hired teacher, a tennis tournament, a sessions in tango, her booth at the boutique show, the evening of the arts at Flatbush where her many students displayed their creations, or an opportunity to address her class and teach them something about your career. She was enthusiastic, boisterous, and had a passion to share with others. Curious, I once asked her why she liked teaching. I was like, don't you just want to do the art yourself? Like, why teach? It was as if I was asking her not to enjoy ice cream. Her answer was definite and emphatic. She said she loved helping people tap into their talents. It gave her tremendous joy to awaken the abilities and passions in others. Whether instructing people on the tennis court or with art to create beautiful designs, Lesley took pleasure in empowering those around her. As a matter of fact, one day we were displaying our art together at a gallery, and we had to stand in front of our art and speak about ourselves as artists. After the event, she said humbly to me, not me, this isn't me. She explained that it felt like she was showing off, and it made her uncomfortable. She reiterated that she'd much rather spend her time and focus on teaching and bringing out the strengths in others. In one of the scrapbooking seminars she attended, she learned about pocket markers. Markers that had these two different tips and could do wondrous things. She attended various classes to learn all the special things they could do, and emphatically insisted that I learn some of the techniques. She invited me over, shared her supplies, and taught me all that she knew. She was certain these tools would enhance my art, and they did. Lesley didn't believe in sitting on one's laurels. She was aware that there was so much knowledge out there that could be used to improve oneself, one's hobbies, career, whatever, and she sought out those things. She was open to learning, growth, and positive feedback. One time, after visiting her and Carolyn at a boutique show where they were presenting, she prodded me for feedback. I said my piece and she listened carefully. I expected her to get it, as most people would, defensive, explain why they made certain decisions. That was not the case with Lesley. Her ego was less important than her desire to master the game. to do whatever she was doing very, very well. Lesley was humble as she pursued excellence. I remember watching her direct her kids at home once. Her mom was sick and she was caring for her. She said, "Carolyn, go get Grandma a smoothie from the fridge. Shelley, go upstairs and get Grandma her sweater. Maya, go pick up the food," or whatever. She explained to me that she believed strongly in teaching her kids to be givers. Once Lesley was trying to figure out how she was related to someone. She started tracing grandparents, cousins, all in her head. And all I heard was blah, blah, blah. I had no headspace for this family geography and little capacity to even follow her train of thought. But Lesley chastised me. She said that although I thought I was preserving my brain by not engaging in the conversation, she pointed out that it was actually these types of mental gymnastics that actually save the brain. Another time she scolded me for not going out much. "Why aren't you enjoying life?" Lesley believed in the value of boldly and courageously grabbing what the world has to offer. She flew with Joe all across America, enjoyed different towns, different foods, attended craft shows, visited different beaches, swam in the ocean, enjoyed shows, and really did as much as she could. She also loved being with family and friends, reading and playing family games. Indeed, her game recommendations were always the best. Lesley, if you're listening, I apologize to you and myself for missing out on opportunities to be together more. I wish I could have helped you and enjoyed your great energy and intelligence much, much more. No one can ever tell me that I did enough because I have my regrets. I wish I could have had more of you. I'm more than sure everyone in this room and beyond has the same wish. Maya, Carolyn, and Shelley, I ask that you share your presence with as many of us as possible so that we can remain connected to your wonderful mom and continue to learn from her ways. You are living continuations of all she was, all she taught you. When the TD chat was rolling and over 400 people were reciting and learning on your behalf, I kept thinking of the phrase, "loved by a man, loved by God," meaning God favors a person who is well-liked and is pleasing to others. That gave me comfort. You were surely adored here on earth, and I believe firmly all the good vibes you sent out while here have you in a very good place right now, resting and basking in God's light. Lesley, we will always remember you as a golden athlete with a glorious smile and a huge heart. We will forever love and miss you. I'd like to call up Sam Franco to speak on behalf of his mother, Rachel Franco. This is his first time. These are the words of my mother. From as far back as I can remember, big cousin Lesley was always there, always looking up to her and waiting for the fun to begin. She was so girly and sparkly all the time, her blonde curls were wonderful. All her games felt like fairy tales, woven from a unique collection of books, movies, shells, dolls, and more. Growing up together, riding bikes, driving cars, and surfing the waves too, nothing was ever ordinary, and Leslie's wild imagination was unlocked. Ocean waves had to be ridden differently each time, frontwards with a twist, backwards, legs up to the sky, twirling while going up, straight while crashing down, and of course, floating in the air after the waves released us. Climbing the jetties, having adventures like explorers of foreign lands, she had the largest collection of sea lights known to man,
and every snorkeling adventure I did with an amazing find. Conch shells, starfish, or when we were lucky to stand up. She looked just like a mermaid every time I first swim. Tennis was a rite of passage in this family, whether it be lessons, clinics, tournaments, and never-ending hours of fun together on the court with the sons. Always competitive and always fun. Sparring on Renee's boyfriends, hide and seek with Jeffrey, casino games with Michael, yoga with the grandmas, canasta club with friends, Zen taking with cousins, book clubs with aunts, or figuring out Joe's tricky riddles. The list goes on and on and on. Lesley was there, ready for fun and part of the action. As a group of teenagers, we couldn't see past Michael and Danny. They were our guiding light into adulthood. Car rides, party planning, flirting with their friends, we loved it all. Except for one thing, Danny's constant crazy pranks. Auntie Shelley and Uncle Mo rolled me along everywhere, every time. Laughing, traveling, dining, entertaining one another, we always had a blast. Lesley was my number one fan, my biggest cheerleader, but with all her fanfare and cheering, it was always me who was in awe of her. She was smart, beautiful, classy, elegant, stylish, generous. The list goes on and on, we'd be here all day. I'm going to miss her stories and her fairy tales. She told me how to get the most out of small moments, laugh at parties at the silliest jokes, and appreciate the people around me all the time. She was a master at creating meaningful and lasting relationships and great memories. Lesley may be in a better place with Hashem, but she will forever be by my side. In every smile I encounter or share, she was there. Every game I play, her rules echo. Wherever I travel, her tips will be put to good use. When in trouble, her wisdom will be recalled. My memories are filled with her in the future as well. She will always be with me in my thoughts and in my actions. Maya, Carolyn, and Shelley, you're the luckiest of them all, because you also got to experience great times like me. We share the same extraordinary fairy tales. Cherish them forever. And that's my mother. Saying a few words. Chazal said, "Ezu chacham u'mer mikol adam." Who is the wise one? The one who learns from
Albert was available to drive your mom to give birth. He used his blue siren speeding through streets of Brooklyn to the Methodist Hospital on 60th and 4th Avenue. In the car with your mom, Grandpa Albert, or Mo, or Dad, Grandpa, Renee, Grandpa, Renee, and me. A festival for the arrival of a new baby. Our beautiful new baby, Lesley Joy. I watched as you grew into a wonderful woman. You brought great joy to our family with your artistic talent that you share with all. Such a brilliant teacher. Tennis for all ages. Zentango. Painting classes. Collage classes. Gymnastics. So knowledgeable and brilliant. Your kindness and passion for keeping our family together with your delicious cooking and best fun games were great. Let me speak of an incident when your mom went swimming alone. You were on shore and she saw you waving, so you waved back. Then you realized she was in distress. You ran and swam out to her and saved her from a riptide. A wonderful daughter, a hero to the rescue. A champion in her own right. We all adore Dad and love having you with us always. You are a light that will always shine in our lives through your and Aaron's wonderful treasures, Maya, Carolyn, and Shelley, who will always make us proud. I will love you always, my beautiful Dad.
to share a few words. I had a little more time to prepare than the day of the funeral.
So we talk so much about Lesley's love of art and zentangle and patterns and repeated patterns. And it got me thinking during the week of the Shiva, hearing so many of the same stories over and over. And it got me thinking that Lesley had these repeated patterns in her life and things that we can learn from. And I wanted to share a few. I heard almost the same story over and over the week we were sitting. And the story went something like this. There was a tennis tournament, and the person telling the story was partnered with Lesley in the tournament. And from there, the story went in two directions. Either they won the whole tournament because Lesley was able to carry them, or they got destroyed because the person couldn't even hold the racket. But the memorable thing was how Lesley encouraged them. She stayed very positive, and people remember this 30, 40 plus years even later. Some people said that it made a difference later on in their life, that they either took up a sport or an activity or really encouraged them. And that was definitely one of the patterns that Lesley had going through her life that impacted so many people. Another one I think is how she was able to make people feel comfortable. It all started with a big smile. We heard so many people share that also. And the way she welcomed them with her huge smile. I mentioned last time I spoke how Lesley always had name cards at the table when she had a meal. She really knew how to make everyone feel included and feel special. And I think she did that also in her lessons, whether it was art or tennis over the years. The way she operated with patience and encouragement is definitely something that made a very positive effect on many, many people's lives. And another repeated pattern for Lesley, and we've heard this in some of the speeches today also, is her love for adventure, her get up and go attitude, and her spontaneity. From her love to travel to new places, to her love of activities, from scrapbooking to art to sports or exercise, and the way she could corral a huge group into playing a game of host or knockout basketball or knockout tennis, and even to inspire a large group of the cousins to go jumping in the ocean today as part of the Polar Bear Club. I just think it's another example of how she affected so many people's lives with a repeated pattern in her life. And the last one I wanted to speak about was Lesley's love for family. It was definitely a pattern she carried through her whole life. From how close she was with all the cousins, to the bond she had with her parents, to the care and attention she gave everyone, especially her children, Maya, Karen, and Shelley. Family was of utmost importance to her. And you can definitely see it was part of the beautiful pattern that she repeated in her life. I wanted to just share a couple of words that tie into the Parsha. And I think also it has a special connection with Lesley. The first is that the Parsha has
this weekend's the passing of Jacob Avinu. And it talks about that the whole country of Egypt mourned for 30 days. I thought we're here almost approaching 30 days for Lesley. And another thing that I thought was caught my attention when I was asking God about what was Yaakov, what did he stand for, and he said Emet. And Emet was one of the last Hebrew words that Lesley asked about. I thought was not a coincidence. And then also, Yaakov had a very difficult life. He was able to still persevere. And I think about how Lesley did the same in the last few years, staying so positive with such an impossible situation. And the last thing, one of the rabbis, when I was asking about the parallel for Lesley in the Parsha, he said to look at the blessing from that Yaakov gave to Yisachar. And I was struggling really to find the connection, but when Meyer said that Lesley found tranquility in her hard work, it happens to be that one of the interpretations of this blessing was for Yisachar that he was able to finding tranquility in hard work. So I think for Lesley, if you put her hard work into the hard work, and it's a place for her to find tranquility in very difficult times. I'd like to go up the rabbi and ask him to say a few words.
So, listening. And if you had to say in one word, what a challenge, in one word, how you picture Lesley, I would say giver. She was able to express herself in all the ways, through the art, through her smile, through her eyes, through her actions. Give from herself, part of her soul, to share it with others, with friendship. And I want to say a question that we all have. Every soul is different. Every soul was placed in this world for a purpose. You were born in a certain time to do something here. God wanted you here and that specific period. How do you know what is your mission? How do you know if you are achieving the purpose of your life? So Rabbi Tzadok Miluvin said a brilliant thought. Some things come easy to you, natural. Good. Examine them. But some other thing you say to yourself, that's not for me. Too difficult. I don't relate. Say Rabbi Tzadok, probably in those weakness is where your purpose is. Only by overcoming those weaknesses, you can get greatness. So when I picture the life of Lesley and her achievement, you can say that was a lady that didn't stop. She was constantly taking another challenge to another challenge to another project to put up and to teach and to show and to go to adults and to children and to family, and she didn't stop. So obviously, she overcome all what she knew what might be her weakness to achieve the goal of why she came here. And for sure she came here to this world to teach us, to fulfill her duties, but also to leave on us an impression. personally the lesson of a life of action, enthusiasm, passion, love, giver, friendship, creativity, and goal. So those lessons, that what we keep her in our soul, in our memory, and remember what Hazar said. We can keep her alive. Her children will. Her brothers, sisters, sibling, family, they will. We also, Siftoteha Dovevot Pakev, we can let her talk to us by taking these virtues that she excelled on them and keep as part of ourselves. So this is a way that we give it expression of who she was still today. Tien Shatz and Rabbi Sarah Hayim, Amen. Rabbi Hanania Ben Akshel, and Saturday of the Katsel, Fifth and Padak, Mitzvot Shalema,